up, nerds and nerdettes, and we little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G, the Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming.
Oh, this is big. Actually, hold on. Let me get this. This is a little bit... Okay. Whew, I didn't quite have it, Anyway. So I have a Tabletop Takeout Tuesday where I get to tell you about games that I enjoy, or at least a pointers why I like these games. I don't get into full detail like a full-blown review, but quick little bullet points why I like these games. And Today it's taking us into another world, another Earth, a Middle Earth. Yeah, so the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle Earth by Fantasy Flight Games. I love Tolkien. First book I ever read. Was I in fourth grade? I read that book. So much love. Is it deserving of it though? The game, that is. Well, we'll find out. I'll see you all down at the table. Welcome back to another episode of Tabletop Takeout Tuesday, and thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with us here. So I would definitely like to talk to you about a game that's been on the market for a little while. It's not new, but it's new to us here. And getting to play it was really worth the time and the money. So what I want to talk to you about is the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle Earth game by Fantasy Flight Games. Now, I'm a huge fan of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. They were the first books I ever read, the first real meaty sort of books, I guess you could say, that I read back in fourth grade. It was shortly after learning about and playing Dungeons and Dragons. So there's a huge connection there for me between the two. In fact, it was because of D&D that I read The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings several times, and several times over. So walking into this as any Lord of the Rings Tolkien-based game, I'm a little bit wary because it means so much to me. Not that I'm the hardest core fan of Lord of the Rings out there, but it means so much to me because it helped me understand who I was when I was a kid. Now, that being said, I've played a lot of great Lord of the Rings-based games. Ever since that Hobbit game with 3D environment board setup when I was a kid that me and T-Bone used to play religiously all the time, right up until today with this. So what do I think of this game? Why is it on Tabletop Takeout Tuesday? Well, obviously, I had a good time with the game. But I wanted to talk about it also because this is the first time I've played an app game. Now, not an app game in the sense that it's a game all on your phone that you're able to play. I have another series for that, the Appatorium Maximus. This doesn't fall into that category because you still need a physical copy of the game to play, which is why I'm talking about it here on Tabletop Takeout Tuesday. So the enhancement of the game with the app is, for my first time experiencing this, amazing. It was as flawless as it could be with my early understanding of how to interact with the app, with the game. I made some mistakes early on in the first couple of games, and that really goes down to either me not quite fully understanding the interaction points of the app during the course of my turns, or simply because I'm rushing and I forget something. But the app acting as a sort of game master, or maybe more accurately, a storyteller, I think is more like it, was great. It was a magnificent effect. I really enjoyed the game, and I want to continue doing it, and I will continue doing it, to the point where not only that, but I'm also looking forward to future expansions. Now, because I'm a fan of other Fantasy Flight games, such as Journeys, like Descent, Journeys into the Darkness, right there. I don't know why I was having a problem. Or Imperial Assault for their Star Wars line. I came into this with a level of familiarity to begin with the rules, because they all have the same basic setup, though there are enough tweaks between each game that it does make it different. But what was familiar worked beautifully for me. So if you're familiar with these other games, then you're not going to have much of a problem. You're going to slide, I think, right into Journeys in Middle-earth. Now, also because I'm such a big fan of this franchise, this series, it actually meant a lot to me that it takes place in between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. In a sense, it's not messing up, destroying, altering continuity any more than it needs to. And I say that in rabbit ears because it's not continuity. I know it has nothing to do with the novels. This game, like every other game, is in reality more of an parallel universe, an alternate reality to what happened in Tolkien's version. But still, knowing that there's less toes being stepped on, so to speak, by placing it in between, to me, that did it. It actually meant a lot, and I'm glad that they did it that way. Now, I was mentioning the rules earlier being similar to other FFG games, such as Descent and Imperial Assault. Even if you're not familiar with those games, you're still going to have an easy time when you use the app, because the app does help walk you through a lot of the things. As long as you understand the basic of turn-by-turn actions that you're able to do and when you're able to do it, and there's very simple rules for that, then the game is handling a lot of the other things. And then also, since most FFG, especially for their big epic games like this, have an entirely separate book for rules, that's just like a rules explanation. If you need to understand what this means, just go right to the index, it's alphabetical, and boom, there it is. That's going to help you as well. So if you're not familiar with the other games by this company, don't let the fact that I said earlier that if you are, it's going to be an easier transition of rules. As long as you have the app and you understand this happens on a turn in this order, you're going to be able to get this game. And yes, I am so looking forward to the future expansions on this. Now, I went pretty deep with their Imperial Assault, right up until the Jabba expansion. I pretty much got all the box expansions, and like all the ally and enemy hero packs for the core game and some with the second game. I'm still building that up, and I have a feeling I'm going to delve just as deep into Journeys into Middle-earth as they release more and more material. There's one expansion out right now, the Villains of Eriador, which adds a couple of more minis of a warg and some orcs, and as well as a little bit of campaign. And that's also in the app that you can either play on your phone, your iPad, or even through Steam, you can play it on your computer. So that's already all added into it. What I'm looking forward to is not only more adventures and more stories, but more choices of heroes. That's one of the biggest things I love in a game. Honestly, you always get a +1. You always get a +1 if your game has a plethora of player choices for characters. But I love that fact that the options are there. So I am so looking forward to new heroes being introduced for the players to use down the road with some of the new expansions. This game I also got for a small reason. I mean, the main reason was I was looking for a good Lord of the Rings game, but because you can solo this. Now, like so many similar games, especially in this company's style and their vein, you have to use multiple characters. With this, it's suggested a minimum of at least 2, which isn't bad. I don't mind handling multiple characters. You want me to handle 3, 4, 5 characters, I'll do that, but it's never going to be as much fun for me if I'm just concentrating on 1, maybe 2. And this game, allowing me to just use 2 instead of 4, gives me a much better feel as a player than having to spend time managing the other characters when I feel like just the meat of it, please. And the less characters you're running, the more meat of the game you're getting. Now, overall, I gotta say that if you are a fan of Tolkien, even if you are a fan of other Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Tolkien-esque games, I seriously urge you to play Journeys in Middle-earth. Although I have had fun with other games based in this same world, I have never felt so immersed. I have never felt as part of an active member of a Tolkien fantasy story than I do playing this. And that's something I think that FFG kind of has in the bag, because it's the same exact feeling when I play Star Wars Imperial Assault. No other Star Wars game that I've played, no matter how much I've enjoyed it, makes me feel like I am in a chapter of the story. And they brought that over, and it fits and works perfectly with Journeys in Middle-earth. So if you're a fan of the game, give this a shot. Whether you want to buy it, whether you want to play it that a friend has it, or if it's at some sort of gaming cafe or a board game store that has weekend gaming hours or something. Some of them let you play games there before you decide if you want to buy them. However it is, if you're a fan of Tolkien and gaming, you have to try Journeys in Middle-earth. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and my friends, I am out of here.